There's been some controversy behind Adam 22's interview on Joe Budden's podcast, wherein he posted clips of a past interview that was already uploaded after they passed away. So Joe Budden was asking him, why do that? Or like, why post super dangerous shit and get yourself involved? I don't know. We'll get to the video so they can explain it further, but that's kind of a gist.
So I've been wanting to talk about this for a little while, and I decided to bring this to the forefront before I hop right back into regular video making mode and talk about hip hop media, forerunners of hip hop media. Recently, I've been encountering plenty of content that has been criticizing hip hop media, hip hop content creators in general, and I do feel rightfully so, as who I believe to be the biggest beneficiaries in hip-hop regarding coverage of tragic events, music, controversy. Very rarely do any of these, I don't really want to call them giants, but owners of this.
And by the way, not that he's talking about me because I'm not big, but I am a hip-hop commentator. So he about to be dissing
particular content receive the same amount of flack or criticism for their questionable morality. I saw a video from Channel 5 recently titled "Oh Block." I watched it and I thought it was a pretty good video. In watching it, I didn't feel like the interviewer, Andrew, was malicious or too ignorant of the situation to a point where he was trying to speak for a particular culture that he was never invested in. But I saw an excerpt that included content creator DJ Akademiks, and in seeing this particular clip, it gave me insight into DJ Akademiks' motivations for covering content in an area that he's never been to or doesn't plan on going to, and that content wasn't limited to music. I'm well aware of the fact that plenty of people will respond.
So if any of you don't know, DJ Akademiks' like first spike in traffic, or first spike in clout, right? Like getting a following, was him covering the war in Chiraq with like Chief Keef and like the original O Block. Like y'all see the OTF and shit with Lil Durk. I think it's even like before that, or it's that gang, but Lil Durk was involved, but he just wasn't as big. So there's a lot of rappers within these gangs. You know, though, I don't really cover the gangs because obviously I am not fucking in gangs, so I know nothing about it. I don't even want to know about it because that shit's just tragic. But anyway, continuing.
To anyone who criticizes DJ Akademiks' past coverage of Chicago with he had
a following way before war in Chiraq. Of course he did, but that's when he started to increase more because he was covering like very big events. Like, you can think what you want though.
One who started the problem in Chicago, he simply covered it.
And look, I'm not hating on DJ Akademiks. I love DJ Akademiks. He's one of my like idols essentially. So don't think I'm hating at all.
That's not what's being questioned here. The question isn't who started. The question is who's the biggest beneficiary and what the motivations for those people who benefit partially from the violence in Chicago and violence in hip hop in general are. I saw another disagreement between content creators Joe Budden and Adam 22. All I saw was two dudes.
Joe Budden looked like he got like beat up, man. What is this? Does he not look like he has two black eyes?
22. All I saw was two dudes that were basically two halves of the same whole, going back and forth about the different ways that they exploit people for profit. And I don't want to make it seem like my perspective on this is everyone's evil in different ways, so we should just stop talking about it. But I find it very difficult to take a position of morality or a moral high ground in the situation, given that I am a content creator who posts about things that I find interesting, reviews that, cover music that talks about trauma, sometimes death. Granted, I might not delve as deep into that personal business as some others may to exploit for profit, but at the end of the day, it's still coverage of something where the biggest beneficiary in the coverage would be myself. The video that I'm seeing of the two going back and forth, it's almost as if it's an argument to rid themselves of the guilt associated with covering violence in hip hop or covering hip hop in general. Where I think this debate between Joe Budden and Adam 22 goes wrong is it feels like Joe Budden and his crew are under the impression that if Adam 22 stopped posting about the things that he posts about, that the issue would resolve itself, when in reality you'd just be talking to someone other than Adam 22 who'd be doing the same thing. It's also hard to take that moral of a high ground when we consider that you are having a conversation with this man on a platform that you've been building for decades almost. I mean, this is essentially your baby. If he's that despicable, why have a conversation with him at all? Because there is a benefit. There is a mutual benefit. Again, as a content creator, you can't rid yourself of the benefit of having a conversation with a man that you would label disgusting. I mean, you had an entire show in an entire relationship with DJ Akademiks, who is, you know, very widely criticized for his War in Chiraq series, which was some of the most exploitative coverage of the deaths of young black men in Chicago that I've ever seen. You see why taking a morally high ground in any of these instances leaves you morally inconsistent? This isn't the same thing as someone who's generally left-leaning having a conversation with, I don't know, Andrew Tate, for instance, and their mission in this conversation is to at the very least have a conversation about some of the problematic ideologies Tate might spread to potential viewers. In this regard, it's better to have that conversation on an open platform so that these ideas can be exposed, challenged, debunked even, so that they don't fester in silence and in private and in an echo chamber where the extreme result is violence or potential tragedy. In this regard, you're only talking to the person that's posting the content, where the issue essentially just gets buried underneath the weight of them going in circles over who's covering this issue the best or who shouldn't monetize this. Central conversation surrounding this issue shouldn't be, why are you covering this?
All right, anyway, that was a lot of words for me to respond to. I don't know if I can respond to all of it. However, my take is that this shit's gonna get covered no matter what. And yes, some people in the chat were saying covering shit from a satirical angle or from news isn't really a bad thing. No Jumper and Act didn't do anything wrong. I think that there is a fine line between like covering something for views and covering it I don't know, as like paying respect, or you get what I'm saying? I don't know what the word is, but sometimes I agree that media, and this doesn't just go for hip hop, like if you go on Fox News, CNN, I'm not even gonna, you know, get political here, it's everyone. With COVID or monkeypox, every single media industry just overexploits stories that scare everybody. And so in hip hop, a lot of things that happen, you know, is violence because people are from certain areas where that's pretty inherent. So of course that's going to, such tragic events is going to surface to the top, just like with other media. So I think I see both sides. Media can be evil, but media can also be respectful while also covering the news and giving like your satirical takes, just like how there's nuances in every conversation. Like, you know, it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it, right? You can give the same facts, but one could be super insensitive, the other one could just be completely respectful. Like covering the death of a rapper, like you can like pay your respects, say RIP, but then some people just hop on the bandwagon and say like RIP. A lot of people hit me up like when say MF Doom or like other rappers passed away, and I was like, I don't even know who these rappers are really, so I don't even like, of course RIP to them, but I don't want to just do it for the views, you know, because it just feels weird I made a whole video on it. I was like, it just feels weird to be like RIP. So many people go on the comment section saying RIP, RIP, RIP. It's like, you don't even know who that is. The people who follow these rappers after they pass away, it's like, what was the point of that? You're just trying to act like you were listening to the rapper before they died. It's the media and the people who consume that said music glorified violence and drugs. That's the problem, but people honestly don't want to take accountability. Yeah. I mean, look, the art of music is always going to emulate or is going to exploit in itself what does best. Everything is follows data. So all the rap songs that do like ignorant shit, like talking about fucking bitches, all of like and I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, because ultimately that's just a human, like it's our lizard brain, it's our instincts to like fuck bitches, you know, get money, which is, you know, be able to do whatever you want, freedom, all the things that humans want, you know, party, have fun, but also talking about like guns and violence, because that's like also a source of power, and it's just what's happened in their lives. We talk about our memories. So if that type of stuff does well, these songs do well for whatever reason, because some people have gone through those same experiences, or as like a person that's from the suburbs, I've never even, you know, been through any of that. But particularly, I don't really like too straight music because I can't relate to it. But sometimes, you know, when there's a really hard song, it makes me feel like, you know, it's like a movie. I can step into the shoes of somebody who is in that, and like you feel some sort of, I don't know, like emotion about it. But yeah, so it only does well because the consumers, it's really the consumers. Hip hop media or any media would die if the consumers, or they wouldn't cover that if the consumers didn't want it. So that's why I said it's gonna get covered no matter what. Or when somebody posts it, even not trying to be a media, it's going to blow up just because it's very tragic news and very engaging, justifiably or not. And then that person is just gonna keep posting that shit, or just because like that's how businesses start. Sometimes it's just like, oh shit, that worked, or like that, you know, that got views, like people are looking to me to give coverage. It's crazy. There's blame in multiple forms on all sides, but I think people covering the crazy shit is the least responsible, unless you talk about specific people. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think Ak and No Jumper, although I don't hate it. I understand why Adam posts clips of like rappers who pass away, or public figures that pass away. But at the same time, the way the YouTube algorithm works, it will just recommend that content to people anyway. So you're gonna get those views, maybe not as much. So I feel like in sensitive situations, it's always best to err on the more sensitive side. So I understand Joe Budden's point there. The hypocrisy comes from not criticizing the art and the artist, but instead criticizing those who review cover. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But can we blame the rappers when that's all they've been through? Because a lot of the music commentators, and I'm not saying that I'm not guilty, because I'm, you know, you can judge forever for whatever you want. But like people, a lot of the times the media doesn't really live that life, because we come from more blessed or fortunate areas or childhoods. A lot of times, not always. So that's where like people start not liking what we do. But again, I've even discussed this before, I a lot of times feel weird with these rap beefs. I don't really cover it if it gets too serious, but if it's just like diss tracks or whatever, that's fun. That's just like a, you know, neighborhood fucking like you're gonna punch each other, no one's actually gonna kill each other. At least I hope. I would very much hope that these rappers do not do that in the genre and niche that I am in. You know, you have some inside details on Gabby, but see, that's another thing with, you know, people who are mentally diseased or ill. Like I don't, or when rappers get exposed for scamming or like, I don't know, botting views and whatever. Like I'm not here. People think all hip hop media, and this is why I like to more so aim towards, I'm a commentator, but I'm like trying to give, I don't know, I'm trying to be me. I'm not trying to just report, because reporting sometimes gets very like dull and just insensitive. So when you report on certain things, it's just a dick move to make shit public that you don't need to make public. So like with the Gabby inside, by the way, if you don't know who Gabby is, she's the girl who had issues with Summers. Obviously she's mentally ill. We control a little bit before we realize that she's actually mentally ill, but once it's like actually like a problem and you realize, god damn, like she, you know, you don't want to press that issue. You don't want to, because she could literally, if you push her too far, she could literally end her own life.